Hey, sales leaders, Weinberg, and let me just get this out of the way right up front. No, this was not where I intended to shoot this video from. It's flippin' freezing outside. It's the Saturday between Good Friday and Easter, and I just had to get out of the house. Like most of you, I spent the entire week at my desk in my home office staring into a webcam. And I don't know what you were doing, but I was mostly leading online meetings for sales management teams and some executives. And I also had one meeting with a giant sales force talking about selling through this crisis. So I had a lot of fun. It was my most energizing week yet as we've been in lockdown mode. And I'll talk about that in a second. But I had to get out. So I was too cold shooting outside. So here we are back in the car. Let me thank you. Thanks for kind of raising your hand and letting us know that you're a sales leader. I wanted to create some sales management, sales executive specific content. And I just don't feel comfortable sharing my thoughts and coaching sales leaders in front of their people. Every once in a while, I'll have a client, even a big company, ask me if I would lead a sales management focused session, but with both sales management and salespeople in the room. And I always object and say it's very uncomfortable, and I think it borders on inappropriate. When I'm coaching managers about leading their people and working through their own dysfunction and how they should be doing accountability and leading teams and what good sales team meetings look like and how to do legitimate one-on-one coaching and identifying and coaching up underperformance, all the topics I cover in Sales Management Simplified and in our Sales Management Simplified video series, which we'll be sharing more with you soon. I don't like doing that in front of salespeople. So I wanted to create just some specific messaging for you. So thanks for letting us know. This is the first one, and I'm gonna be sending you a bunch of videos over the next few days because I've got a lot of thoughts. I've been leading these meetings. I've been listening to sales managers and executives. I am overwhelmingly impressed with the way sales leadership has rallied to deal with the pandemic, and Salesforce is doing hashtag WFH, and just how this whole conversion has gone. Let me share some encouragement with you. 10 days ago, when we kind of entered lockdown mode, and at least in the US, it's been about 10 days to 2 weeks. It was crazy. We were in a fog, and I kept telling people, just relax. We're in this transition. It's chaos right now. At some point, the dust is going to settle, and we're going to transition to working from home, and we're going to figure this out for this new temporary normal season. And we have. And I'm going to tell you, I'm seeing amazing things happen, and I've got all kinds of messages on LinkedIn and on Twitter and in my email inbox from salespeople and from sales teams that are crushing it right now, closing record deals, people making the quarter. I had one CEO email me. Actually, this was a phone call. This one CEO told me his best sales guy kept his 21 straight month of beating quota streak alive. And it wasn't easy to do that at the end of March, but they pulled it off. And I did this big online meeting for a sales team this week, and they have done an amazing job repositioning their value proposition in the markets they serve for some very specific and unique needs their customer base has right now. And it's a very differentiated message they've got, and their salespeople are being super proactive. So here's what I want to say. Even if your messaging and what your company sells doesn't line up perfectly with some of the unique needs that your customer base has during this crisis and this pandemic, that's okay. There's still a lot of salespeople having a lot of success right now. You just may have to redefine what success is. In some cases, it just means we're being more proactive, and we're taking the found time we have right now to reach out to more people and plant more seeds that we will fertilize and water over time. And I've been coaching the salespeople. You need to be empathetic, and you need to have high EQ right now, but that doesn't mean you're inappropriate for reaching out. And one of the things I'm perpetually reminding both managers and salespeople, ignore the anti-sales police. There are some self-righteous assholes, anti-sales assholes online right now, and in even some of the prospects you may be calling, who love to preach to salespeople. You're tone deaf. You're insensitive. You're unethical. What are you doing trying to sell right now? How dare you pick up the phone and call somebody? Friends, listen to me. The same morons preaching that now are the exact same people who tell you it's inappropriate to prospect and sell and interrupt people when we're not in a crisis. So ignore the anti-sales idiots. Show them grace, wish them well, and then move on. There is nothing mutually exclusive about selling and serving. And as my good friend Anthony Anarino says all the time, selling isn't something you do to somebody. It's something you do with somebody for their benefit. So don't believe the nonsense and ignore the self-righteous idiots telling your people to stop what they're doing. Let me wrap with this, and then I'm going to be back shortly with some more messages for you. You need to lead. You need to lead. You need to lead. I did some studying last weekend on great political leaders during a crisis, and we looked at Churchill and Roosevelt and Abraham Lincoln, and they had 4 characteristics in common. I went through several historians, and these 4 C's, and I've been sharing this with everyone who'll listen: care, competency, character, and communication. And the one I really want to highlight right now is care. Your salespeople are humans, and many of them are scared, and some of them are having pity parties, and they're worried about their future. They're worried about keeping their job. They're worried about making their numbers. Some of them are worried about just how are they going to care for their kids. You have single parents who are at home with kids with no daycare and no school, and it's hard to do their job. So what I want to ask you to remember is that they're human, and you need to show empathy to your salespeople, just like we're asking our salespeople to be empathetic and put themselves in their customers' shoes and understand their perspective. But having said that, empathy doesn't mean we can abdicate our responsibility to hold people accountable. And even though we may have a different set of expectations and our sights may be lowered in terms of what we're hoping to achieve sales-wise during this time, and that's not everybody. Some companies are actually raising expectations because of what they sell. But assuming in most cases you're going to have a slightly lowered bar, you still need to do accountability. If you abdicate your job, number one job is holding salespeople accountable for performance. If you abdicate that right now, that's sales management malpractice. And I'll close with this last thought. I observed a meeting at one of my very large clients, and they brought in an outside expert, a behavioralist psychologist, to talk about how do you deal with people who are living in a crisis. And one of the things this expert shared was, she said that your people actually need more accountability right now rather than less. It's very counterintuitive. And she said it's almost like with a little kid. When you know mom and dad are around and they're watching and they're going to speak into what you're doing, it's actually comforting because you know they care and they're offering guidance and they're going to correct you when you're out of line. So while we need to be sensitive and empathetic, we also need to hold people accountable. And your people will appreciate that you're engaged with them and having that conversation. So I wish you great sales leadership. I'm going to be back again. I've got a whole checklist, and I'll outline some of them here below in the article I'm including with this video. Thanks for the great feedback you've been sharing with me about the content I've been putting out, particularly during the crisis here. And I will keep doing that. All right. Lead well. Many blessings.